Hello. I see people are joining. Yes, there is a stream tonight. Sorry for not having a stream yesterday. I wasn't feeling very good. I fell asleep and then things happened, but basically, yeah, we had to postpone it to today. Hold on, I can maybe angle the camera a little better. All right. Oh, seems to be running a little slow. Again, I'm never sure if um any slowness issues are truly from the app or if they're from Restream, which is the software that I use. Um, yeah, so, but let me know if the audio is good. Let me know if the video is good. And if there's any issues, I will look into them. Otherwise, we should be able to start pretty soon. Okay, sound is fine. Yes, I am feeling better. Still tired under the weather. I think it's the quick change of weather, and then like over this last week we also had an OPR meetup. So every year we get the crew together. We basically invite everybody to come here to Lisbon, and we offer everyone the flights and hotels, and then there's like a bunch of events and dinners, and we play games together and stuff like that. So we did it last week, and I think oof, between going in and out, lots of events, the weather's changing, it's rainy, it's cold, it's hot, I think I just, yeah, I've just been a little bit under the weather. Okay, I see more and more people are joining. So, in the spirit of trying to keep these streams fast, because that's kind of like what we're trying to do, we are going to jump in. But I see, yeah, more and more people are coming. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What is our first topic? It is the mission jam. So, this last week, last 2 weeks, so we ran the second OPR mission jam. This is a new thing that we are doing and that we're trying. Basically, it's the mission jam is an event where you have about a week to make an OPR mission, and then you submit it to the public, and then everybody votes on it, and then we see who wins. And um, the top pick basically gets to make an official mission for an OPR game. And everybody else, gets like little prizes and stuff like that. It's a nice way to like build a community around something else. This is kind of a new thing. It's only the second one, so compared to the writing gem, it's still slow. We're still trying to get more and more people involved and interested, but it was still cool to see a bunch of people submit their missions. Um, the voting went out last week. Actually, I think just today we announced the top three results. So yeah, really cool that we did a mission jam. It's very nice to see the community come together like this. Our plan for the future is that we're gonna do a mission jam every year, and we're gonna do a writing jam every year. So maybe I'm not sure, like maybe in around 6 months you'll see another writing jam. Then 6 months later you'll see another mission jam. And then back and forth they're going to keep alternating. So yeah, you can probably expect the next mission jam sometimes next year. Speaking of community stuff, yes, we are finally bringing back serious business. So there's a new season of serious business going out. It's the happy adventures of Spoon and Threat. And yeah, I'm super excited to see these characters come back and have some fun. We're also planning to eventually go back to Squip and make some new seasons of Squip. Yeah, actually, we've been thinking about a lot about comics lately and what we could do with them, and the possibility maybe of one day doing like a physical release where like maybe we do like a little. Sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera. Maybe we do like a Kickstarter or something like this. To do a basic run of all the comics as a physical thing, which would be very cool. But I'm not sure how the community would react. So if you think it would be cool, let us know in the comments. Like, um, let us know what's up, because right now it's an idea and who knows where it could go. But yes, there's a new season of Serious Business. As usual, we are going to be releasing one new episode a week ish. And each season has around 10 episodes. So, for the next 3 months, you'll be getting some cool comics. Then moving on to the next thing is yes. So StarQuest Battle Report. So I was really really excited to see that Guerrilla Miniature Games Ash made a two-part battle report, or basically a two-part thing. I don't know what to call it. Series, let's say, where he and a friend played the first mission, the first chapter of by Crystal's Glow, which is the newest Grim Dark Star Quest narrative campaign. They're narrative campaign, but really they're like adventures, and it's very very cool to finally have somebody that's doing a video showing the whole thing. They're reading the story, they're doing the actions that happen between the missions, then they play the actual missions, then they talk about what happens in between the missions. You see the characters grow, so it's really really cool. I think it really gives a sense of what it's like to play StarQuest. I feel like it's one of those games that if you just see it on paper, you're maybe like, I don't really get it. Like, what is this all about? So if you've been curious about StarQuest or even just Fantasy Quest, make sure to check out Guerrilla Miniature Games and their battle reports to get a feel for how how these missions come together to form a full campaign with like narrative and special events that happen, and so on and so forth. Yeah, cool. Then talking about Broken Truth. So future plans for Broken Truth. A question that we get all the time is, will Broken Truth be in a game store near us or near me? Well, the maybe yes, maybe no. Depends on if we get your help or not. So right now we are of course pitching Broken Truth to a bunch of distributors, to a bunch of stores, and we're reaching out and we're getting orders, and we're trying to make sure to get it into or onto as many shelves as possible. But of course, we don't know all the game stores around the world. It's not that easy to find. Not everybody knows about us, and so on and so forth. So if you have a suggestion for a local game store that we should contact, or maybe you want to go directly to your local game store and let them know, like, hey, there's this product, I would love to buy it, could you stock it? Make sure to contact them. You can tell them to send an email, or you can send an email to sales@onepagerules.com, um, and basically, yeah, promote Broken Truth as a store product, and hopefully we can get it into as many stores as possible so that more and more people can enjoy it. 3D printing is great. Lots of people do 3D printing, and it's an awesome way to get OPR miniatures. But if you don't have a 3D printer, if you're not interested in a 3D printer, if you can't have a 3D printer, then Broken Truth is the next big thing that you can do to get into it. So the more stores carry it, the easier it is for people to find it. All right. Moving on to. All right. This is the big one for today. So, v3.5.1 hotfix is going to be going out today. What is v3.5.1 really about? So, as always, every year we release a big yearly update, and then we collect a bunch of feedback. And after about a month or so, we release a hotfix, which kind of sets the books, in stone, I suppose. And then the only time we're going to update the books again will be a year from now, so September 2026. I think it's for those that are doing this or seeing this process for the first time, you need to understand that, like, whenever a new edition comes out, the first month usually is when we get like the most feedback, because it's like everybody's engaging, everybody's trying it out, everybody's giving us their opinions. So the first month when we get lots of feedback that should be readily applied to basically not kind of keep us stuck, let's say, for a year. And so that's why we have this process where, yeah, v3.5, v3.5.1 after a month. And yeah, and this sets then for the rest of the year. Of course, we are going to still keep updating armies every quarter as usual. But the updates will be much smaller and much much simpler. It depends on what we get. Like I said, usually the biggest feedbacks comes in the first month. So we hope that most things have been caught, and the future stuff that gets updated is more like tweaks and little things here and there, and like adjustments to the general vibe of, for example, the armies. In terms of the updates that come with this, I mean, there's lots of stuff. I have a little list here that I can look at. There will be full patch notes on the website. Um, I'm trying to see if there's anything that really is worth mentioning. Lots of little clarifications, fixes to grammar, typos, that sort of stuff. Lots of tweaks to point costs based on player feedback. So we're tweaking all sorts of costs, from things like aircraft to transport, to versatile rules. Right, those are the types of rules where you can select one thing or the other. We're tweaking the scaling of tough units, and all this type of stuff. One important thing is that we are slightly changing how some defensive army-wide rules work. We found that for a lot of players, it was a little bit like jarring, let's say, to suddenly have to measure a lot of defensive boosts from over 9 inches when the offensive boost didn't not boost sorry the offensive army rules didn't really have that. So a lot of those measurements have been removed, and instead we're applied kind of to boosts. Honestly, the best thing is to just check out the rules when they're out, to understand what's going on. But a simple example would be where maybe right now shielded would be, you get +1 defense when shot or charged over 9 inches, and then the boost basically removes the 9 inch requirement. Well, now something like shielded would be like, basically going back to the roots of it. So it would be like +1 to defense against non-spell attacks, and then the boost would be +2 to defense, but only over 9 inches. So you just get close, and then you can essentially kind of mitigate that really strong boost. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that's really changing. Everything else, base size, error fixes, little tweaks to different units here and there. Um, and yeah, that's about it. I hope everybody enjoys the update. Like I was saying before, there is a new update every quarter. Since everything was kind of delayed because, instead of releasing v3.5 in September, end of September, release it at end of October. This is now happening end of November, beginning of December. The first quarterly patch would come in January. So, whenever that comes out, don't expect it to be a big patch because, everything is so close. But, maybe there will be some tweaks. I have some cool surprise coming for the next patch. But yeah, to be seen. Okay, cool. So v3.5.1 was this. I think that's it with studio updates. So let's take a look at the models that are coming out in December. Yeah, December. Cool. So for the dwarves, it's the last month of the dwarves. Incredible. As always, time really flies. So it's already been 6 months of dwarves. And with this, we're basically filling out whatever remaining units were in the army. So we have the Rangers, which are really cool. I actually really enjoyed how they came out with the little hoods, and they have like throwing picks, and they have crossbows. I really love the poses and the vibe of the unit as a whole. So the Rangers is the main unit that is coming out in December. Then you are also going to get the Pathfinder, which is basically the Rangers hero. Really nice. He comes with this cool little light. Light, is that what you call it? Well, I guess it's just a light lantern. And then the lantern can, of course, also be swapped for a pick. And then on the left hand, it can have like a crossbow or a big hammer or a shield. Not sure what other weapon options there are. It might be about this. And yeah, I think this hero also came out really cool. Standing on top of some little coal really fits in with the faction. Then we are also going to finally see the helicopters. So we have the attack helicopter. The attack helicopter is a little smaller, a little faster. It has one rotor blade. It has like 2 turbines. It has some additional sort of like propulsion turbines. Really, the idea is they kind of like use some sort of like steamish / propulsion technology to drive them, and then the rotor it's kind of there for fun, truly. And then it comes with different weapon options. It comes with a flamer, and it comes with a machine gun. Well, the sort of gun. I don't want to call it a machine gun. Um, then you are also going to get the bomber. The bomber is a little bit chunkier. It has two rotors at the top. It only has one, directional blaster exhaust in the back, and then it has these sort of um, ramps where you can see all the bombs coming out and falling out. Of course, it has the machine gun. It has the flamer. Oh yeah, and the driver. You have male and female. All the cool stuff that that you can expect from an OPR release. Then there is also going to be the pick flinger. So this is the final artillery piece for the dwarves. Um, yeah, it comes with a crew of three. We're not showing it here, but you can expect three crew, male, female, as usual. And yeah, I think this is a very cool piece of artillery. It's very unique to the dwarves. I don't think there's any other faction that has anything that's like this. And I love the idea of this sort of like revolving pick flinger, and enemies just getting hit in the face by a pick is always fun. And yeah, I think that's it. This is the end of the dwarf release. Yeah, as always, time really flies. It's incredible that we've been doing this for 6 months already. Um, Dwarves, it's an interesting faction. On one side, it feels like it's a big faction because it has lots of different things, right? It has the mountain side, it has the mining side, it has the whole side of like the various machines. You have the artillery, of course, but you have like the steam suits, and then you have like the sort of like mech constructs, and then you have the whole part of coal. So you have the golems, and then you have the big golem titan. You have the beast riders, you have the berserkers. So it feels like there's a ton of stuff in the army. But ultimately, yeah, we managed to release it over 6 months. As always, a lot of content, a lot of work, but we managed, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, and I can't wait to show off the next fantasy army that will come after this. Okay, then for the Goblin Reclaimers. So we are looking at month 3 of Goblin Reclaimers. As we already announced on our Patreon, we have, because there's so much stuff for the Goblin Reclaimers as well, we actually decided to extend the Goblin Reclaimers to a 4th month. So you're going to keep getting more Goblin Reclaimer models in January because there's still cool stuff to get. Yeah, and with in mind, let's look at what you're getting. So first off, we have the freaks. So the freaks are a unit of essentially like melee fighters, and the idea here is that since they have this whole thing of like radiation, corruption is wrong, but like mutation sort of vibe. These guys are the most mutated goblins that have animal limbs, animal legs, animal arms, and stuff like that, which then, of course, help them fight. We've also seen already the part of the more mutated goblins that are the artillery crew, and there's also going to be more mutated goblins later. So, like, really, the mutated theme is part of the faction as a whole. So, it's not just on one unit, it's like on a bunch of things, and you can see it all come together. And yeah, I think the goblin, the freaks, like, they look really cool. They all have different animal parts, and it was very interesting to come up with animal parts that will look funky, that will feel different, that will feel functional, but also goblin-y and silly and fun. And yeah, it's goblins. Then you're also going to get the boss mob. Yeah, the boss mob. The boss mob basically is the elite of the goblins. They come with lots of different options. They can be equipped with pistols and they're actually called boss pistols, and close combat weapons. They can be armed with carabines, and they have these sort of like special carabines and special pistols, like they have all this stuff sort of like bolted onto them. You get 5 poses, male, female as always. And then you also get some extra crew with a banner bearer, and you also get a medic. Yeah, very cool. It's interesting how we managed to make a unit that, despite having the same style of, crazy weird armor and, you know, how do I say this? Um, Extra details that are kind of like wild, yet it feels like a more elite, more, standing tall kind of unit. And yeah, it's very cool to see this side of the Goblin Reclaimers as well. Then tanks. Okay, we finally have the killer tanks. So the killer tanks are, you know, the goblins have tough 3 units, which would be tough 12 units in other armies. So in other armies, a tank would be a huge thing. For the goblins, it's a tiny thing. And so yeah, you get 3 different tanks. Here we're only seeing one design, but this one has a spoiler. There's another one that has a sort of shark fin in the back. Another one with like different antennas and stuff like that. They are very customizable. They have lots of different weapons. I think I don't remember how many different weapons they have. And then of course you can have the closed hatch as always, or you can have a male goblin or a female goblin poking out of the little hatch. And then each tank is different. It has different details and different stuff. And yeah, these are super fun. They were fun to make and they're fun to paint. Yeah, just great models. Then, of course, it wouldn't be a goblin army without a tank hero, I suppose. So here you can see the killer tank champ, which basically is a hero version of the killer tank. The thing for the goblins is that, how do you make a vehicle more heroic? Well, just slap a cape on it, and that's what we did here. And I think it looks really cool. I saw a lot of people ask about like the rotation of the turret. Don't worry, there will be the version with the tank rotation, the turret rotation aligned with the tanks, so that you don't have to have all your tanks just pointing to the side. And yeah, I think it came out really cool. It feels, yeah, it's so funny like that. It feels heroic, um, despite truly just being a tank with a cape. Um, then moving on, we have the super tank. So this is the big tank for the goblins, which truly is the size of a regular tank for other armies. But yes, it comes with lots of different things, lots of different details all over the place. It has this big like plow that it can have in the front. It has sponson weapons. It has different sponson weapons as well. It has a turret. It can have a goblin there. There's a little junk bug also that's watching out. It has different guns that it can have in the turret. It has actually you cannot see totally here, but like it has a pole in the back. Lots of details all over the place. And yeah, um, just a really cool tank for the goblins. Then on top of that, you are also going to get the goblin artillery. So we had shown off the artillery crew already. Wait, am I mixing something up? No, I don't think so. Maybe I am. Well, whatever. Um, yes, you're gonna get the Goblin Artillery, which comes with lots of different guns, and then also comes with a crew of artillerists. And those, like I said, are part of the freak side of the faction. So they have like different animal limbs and stuff like that, and they help out in combat in this way. Cool. So that is the Goblin Reclaimers for December. Now moving on to so quests. So for Fantasy Quest, you are going to get the Wood Elf Paladin. Very cool model. I have to say the pose feels really like standing strong, a paladin, big sword. Um, yeah, honestly, just like an awesome model. I have to say, working on the Quest and Star Quest models is very refreshing because when you're working on a regular unit or hero for an army, you're kind of trying to hit so many like core things. You need to make a bunch of poses. They have to have a lot of weapon options. Everything has to be interchangeable. You have to be able to cut them. You have to be able to do, lots of things. It has to be customizable. And so you're kind of limited in what you can do in order to make it look really cool. Whereas the Quest and Star Quest heroes, since they are, just one hero, no weapon options or nothing, you get to do a cool pose and stuff like that. So, for example, this awesome pose here would be impossible to be used for a regular wood elf hero, because you need the option with the bow, you need the option with the spear, you need the option with whatever. Um, and so yeah, here we do get to do that. Cool. So that is the Wood Elf Paladin. Then moving on to StarQuest. Oh yes, very cool model. We've delayed this model a couple times because we were trying to. We wanted to really get it right, and I feel like the first couple iterations were not working out. So this is the HDF Biomancer. The Biomancers are sort of like psychics, but they have different powers. And the idea here is that this guy is really, poison, based, toxin based, and he has these sort of like poison grenades or toxin grenades that he tosses when he fights. And yeah, you can see him here holding a grenade with a bunch of smoke and stuff like that. He has a cool respirator backpack and his mask and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's coming out really cool. The pose is really nice and dynamic, and yeah, it feels really awesome. Just as a model, having seen how big the struggle was to get to this point, I have to say that I'm glad we got to end up with something this awesome. And then, as always, the Quest and Star Quest heroes, whilst they can be used for Quest and Star Quest, you can just use them as your regular heroes in your other games, right? Like this could be an awesome, team leader, squad leader, whatever, in Grimdark Future, or it could be a cool model for a, firefight campaign and stuff like that. Okay, so then moving on to the terrain. So right now we are releasing the jungle slash Xenos terrain. And here you can see the area terrain that's coming out next month. Very classic jungle-y terrain vibes. You have some terrain with a bunch of vines. You have some sort of weird pit, which could be uh, maybe it could be some sort of like swampy thing, but you could make it toxin like, or maybe it could be like some sort of like healing pool. And different things here, like a different piece of area terrain covered in different foliage and vines and stuff like that. Yeah, really trying to give you terrain that can be used for lots of different things. One thing about the terrains, I saw some people commented like, "Oh, they feel a bit small." And yes, the idea was that we made them small enough that they can be printed, on a single build plate. But if you have a bigger printer, for example, you can very simply just scale these up and have nice, big, chunky terrain. Or, of course, you can print multiple of these and, like, stack them together to create a big area of, area terrain, and lots of different things there. You could make it huge and cut it, and then have like a massive, piece of area terrain if you wanted to. Yeah, and lots of things that you can do with this. Then the final thing, I think. Yes, the final thing will be the legendary for December. So, with the yeah, okay, this is a funny one because when we first came up with the idea of the legendary for the goblins, it was like, oh well, what if we do a diorama, and what if we do like a sort of war party for the goblins? And then we were like, what if the goblins took the term war party extremely literal? And so that's the idea here with the Goblin War Party, where they're literally partying. So it's a diorama of a bunch of goblins having fun. They're celebrating. There is, beer flowing around, or ale, or, maybe it's some other sort of juice. There's lots of little details happening. It has multiple vehicles on it. Lots of little guys. There is junk bugs everywhere. There's a silly chicken. There is different scenes that are happening. Also, like, you cannot see it here, but there is a scene happening under the the cliff. And yeah, this is actually not the final version. So there's a couple of models that you can see here in the front, which are just repeated. So those are being exchanged with other models. And yeah, lots of stuff here. Also learning from the experience that people had with the HDF. We found out that people wanted to have the models without a specific slot, so they could arrange them as they wish. And so this time we're going going to cut them in such a way where, yeah, you can just place them wherever you want. You don't have to worry about them being attached to a piece of earth. And yeah, and then again, you could use these models in your regular army if you want. They can be a funny thing to use there, or just cut them out as a little mini diorama and have them on your desk. Maybe you could blow them up. Like there's a scene here on the right where you can see that there's a goblin that seems to be like going for a sort of bug, and there's a junk bug like pulling back at him. And I could imagine if you scale this up like 200% and have like a nice cool scene, you could have this on your desk. Maybe gift it for Christmas to someone. Um, so yeah, that is the Goblin War Party. Okay, and I think with this we have looked at all the 3D models. My God, this one is going really fast. Um, and we can look at. Oh no! Let's not forget that now we have a tier 3. So tier 3 is our throwback tier. For those that don't know, this is a new thing that we've been doing for the last couple of months. If you join tier 3, basically you get all the 3D print models that were released exactly 5 years ago. This started as a celebration of 5 years of OPR minis, and then just continues on that way. So if you are a tier 3 patron, you are going to get on top of all the dwarves and all the goblins and all the quests and star quests and terrain and the Goblin War Party and the welcome pack, and on top of all of that, you're also going to get all of this. So on the Robo Legion side, you are going to get the Overseer as well as the Warden. You're also going to get the Warriors with all their latest updates and whatever. You're also going to get the Snakes. And again, with whatever updates were done since then, you're gonna get those. So don't worry, you're not just getting like the 5-year-old version with no updates that maybe had some stuff that was broken about it. No, you're getting the latest version. And then on the Saurian side, you're going to get the Saurian Veteran, the Saurian Warriors, and I think you're gonna get there's something else. You're gonna get the Raptor Riders. I'm pretty sure that were what was released at the time. I don't see them in the screenshot, but I'm 99% sure that it's also going to be the Raptor Riders. Again, with lots of different options. They have clubs, they have spears, they have the mounted versions. The leader has a bunch of different options. Yeah, like I said, these have all been updated. So like the original versions, for example, had no buddies. Now there's buddies on them. The heroes had no weapon options. Now they have tons of weapon options. And stuff like that. On top of that, as part of tier 3, so you're not just getting all the tier 2 stuff, you're not just getting all of this throwback stuff, you're also going to get 2 huge loyalty models. You're going to get the robot Death Fortress, which is this big walker tank thing on the left. It actually comes with 2 versions. Here you're seeing the I don't know what we called it. I'm just gonna call it the bubble version that has like the sphere at the top and it has like teleporters on the side. But there's a second version that you get that actually has a full-on um, wraith shard at the top with a bunch of technomancers that are sort of like praying to it, and you can change the side, so you're getting all that stuff. And then on top of that, you're also going to get the artillery titan from the Eternal Dynasty, which also comes with lots of different weapon options. So like all the heads that are like, you can see there's a head at the bottom. For those that find the model a bit weird, this one is actually based on Chinese mythology because that's part of the inspiration for Eternal Dynasty, where there is a legendary hero that actually has his head on his chest. So he doesn't have a head. Well, he has a head. Well, his head is in his chest. And it's based off that. So there's lots of different head swaps. Actually, there's a symbol at the very top. There's lots of little swaps for that. There's different swaps for the rockets, and actually the cannon also has different versions of it. Sort of like aiming more up, aiming more down, and all of that stuff. Cool. With that, we have tier 3. Now we can move on to the last part of the stream, which is, well, the last part of this part, I suppose, which is talking about the upcoming Demon release. So, Demons are coming out starting next month. Wait, I'm realizing, did I make a mistake? No, this is the November preview. Then this December. Yeah, no. Everything is correct. Yes. So starting in January, we are going to be doing what we are calling the Demon Onslaught. So what is the Demon Onslaught? Demon Onslaught basically is a a a refresh and addition to the demons, and it's sort of like a sprint through the demons. So in 4 months, you're gonna get 4 full armies, and not just the 4 full armies that were already released, but the 4 full armies plus all of the new content that's coming up for those armies, which means I think it's almost double the units. There's like 37 new units that are being released between like the 4 different factions, the hero versions. There's lots of things that are coming out. So when we start releasing this in January, you're gonna get war demons and plague demons, and they're gonna be coming out in January and February. And then for March and April, we're gonna be doing change demons and lust demons. Like I said, you're going to get all of the existing models, including the avatars, including the epic avatars. We are also going to be updating a bunch of these models, updating their scale a bit, making them a little bit thicker. Don't expect like a super drastic change, like there's also only so much you can do without completely resculpting the models from scratch. But we are thickening weapons, we're thickening arms, we're rescaling some models and stuff like that, and hopefully bringing them a bit more in line with what we are currently doing. And yeah, I just saw somebody commented this, and yes, it's also very neat that the demons are both for fantasy and sci-fi. So you're getting 4 armies that can be used as 8 armies if you think about it in that way. So yeah, they can be used in lots of ways. For each army, we're releasing a bunch of new stuff, including what we're calling like heroic versions of heroes. Basically, that's sort of like epic versions, which have like a cool little, like usually the epic versions of like a titan have like a diorama style base and like a special pose and stuff like that. And we're doing the same thing here, where you have the heroic champions, which basically have like a cooler base, and they have like a special pose for that. Then you're also going to get some specific new heroes based on the faction. You're also going to get new ranged units. That's a new thing for the demons. So you're going to get basically ranged versions of your warriors, let's say, and then you're also going to get a ranged version of the furies. On top of that, you're also going to get the soul demons. That's one thing that people have been asking for a long time. So these are like chunkier, bigger T3 demons that are sort of like a scaled down versions of the soul demons. Like they're the baby version, so to say. But then you also get other stuff for different factions. They have different things. Like we saw last month for the war demons, for example, you're getting like a giant tri-hound. So it's like a really big monster version of the tri-hound. And whoo, lots of stuff, lots of units, and yeah, it's really the demon extravaganza. So here we're gonna look at a couple of concept art, concept pieces, whatever, a couple of concepts of what's coming up. For the new factions. So yeah, and also for both for all 4 factions, whatever, we're going to be doing a quest and a star quest campaign that features the different factions. And those are going to be running in parallel. So you're going to be getting 2 campaigns based on demons, one for quest, one for sci-fi, one for fantasy, and they're going to be coming out over 4 months. That means that you're also going to get 4 villains. So on top of everything that I already said, you're also going to get um, 4 additional heroes. Well, villains, but they can be heroes that you use in your army regularly. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of highlights. For the Demon of Change, we have the Horror Champion. This is a new type of champion for the faction. So every faction has your standard champion. Then you have your ascended champion. Then you have your no, sorry. You have your champion, you have your harbinger, you have your ascended harbinger, and then you have your avatar. And then for each faction, we also have another, let's say, lesser hero, which is like a champion, but of a different vibe. So for the change demons, it's the horror champion. We thought, of course, it makes sense for them to have a horror champion that can go with the horrors. Yeah, and this guy has 6 arms. It has a bunch of weird weapons and like flames, and he has a funky pose and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought it was really cool to have this guy because a lot of people play with horrors, and it's kind of, it's kind of, I don't want to say weird, but when you put a regular champion in a unit of horrors, it doesn't feel like it's quite right. So with the horror champion, it will now all feel aligned, in a way that works. Then on top of that, you are also going to get army standard bearers. So for each faction of demons, you're gonna get army standards. So we've already seen that the units of warriors have a banner. Eventually, we also updated them and gave them the icon of their specific faction. But now there's also going to be an army standard hero, so that you don't have to kit bash it to have it in the field. And yeah, so every army gets their own army standard. It's based off of the part of the epic soul demons, and then part of their existing banners, and part of their symbology from other places. Lots of different things. Again, with a cool new pose. And yeah, this is a champion with an army standard, and you're gonna get one for every of the factions. So that's 4 of these. Yeah, they're cool, big banners. They're always cool. Then for the change demons, yeah, here is an example of one of the ranged units. So this would be the hexers. The hexers are essentially warriors, kind of like warriors, but like ranged warriors. They come with 2 weapon options actually. They come with wait, they come with 2 weapon options. Yes? No? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. They come with weapons that are kind of like staffs slash wands, um, and they use these to cast spells. I think this is very interesting when you look at the various demon factions, how each faction sees what a ranged unit is. So, of course, for the change demons, it will be magic based. That makes sense. We already saw the war demons where it's these sort of whips. Makes sense, right? For them, it's like it's chains, it's metal, it's war. For plague, they actually have these slings that throw these sort of rot balls, which again feels very plaguey. And then, of course, for change, we have the wands, which again feel very changey with their whole magic theme. You're also gonna get a command group with these guys, so you get a sergeant, a musician, and a standard bearer as usual. Then what else we got? Oh no, wait, this is Lust already. Did I make a mistake? No, seems all right. Okay, checking out some of the Lust stuff. Here we have the Fury Champion of Lust. So you can see kind of like how because right now we only have basic champions of each one. And here now we actually added a champion for the Furies for each faction. Again, it just gives you so many more options because if you play demons right now, it's like, okay, you need a hero, it's a champion. What other type of hero can you have? Nothing. It's just a champion. Whereas now we're making sure that every demon faction has at least 3 basic heroes, and then of course you have the Harbinger, the Ascended Harbinger and the Avatar. But the idea was to give more smaller heroes, regular heroes, so to say, that, for example, can be used in firefight and skirmish, and so forth. So here we can see the Fury Champion of Lust. You can see that we actually added extra arms to kind of fit with how the heroes work for the Lust Demons. And yeah, just really cool. Comes with lots of weapon options. Just a fun model. Then we have. You see, there was some sort of mistake here. The slide is twice. Whatever. Okay, we can look at another army standard. So here we see the army standard of Lust. Again, taking parts from the Soul Demon as inspiration, making a much bigger banner than the usual army standard, or the usual banners that units have. And this is like a much bigger, more epic army standard for the Lust Demons, held, of course, by a champion. Epic. Then you're also going to get here's an example of a ranged unit from the Lust Demons. In this case, it's the shooters. So we said that the war demons had whips, the plague demons had slings, the change demons had wands, and the Lust demons have these sort of like arm mounted crossbows, which were part of the heroes before. Yeah, and here you can see we kind of went with this sort of um, veiled vibe for the shooter, making them a little bit more esoteric. They also come with a command group, of course, so standard bearer, musician, and sergeant. And yeah, lots of different poses, lots of different things that you can do with these chicks. And then finally, what do we have here last? Okay, then actually, yeah. So speaking about different new units that you're getting, there's also specialized units for each faction. So I think the War Demons get the Trihound, the Change Demons. I don't remember what the Change Demons get. The Plague Demons get like a giant slug. The Change Demons, I think they're getting like a new chariot for one of the heroes. And yeah, and for the Last Demons, for example, you're getting the Snake Swarm. Yeah, this was just a cool little addition. We already had a swarm in play with the Plaguelings. I think that's what they're called. And yeah, we thought it would be a cool idea to have another demon faction that has some sort of swarm. And of course, for the Last Demons, it made sense to have them be snakes. So you're gonna get some cool snake swarms with like some bigger snakes, some smaller snakes, and stuff like that. All right, so I really speed ran through this presentation. What I'm gonna do now is the following. I'm gonna wait. How do I usually do this? And I always forget. Do I do it like this? Do I do it like this? Screw it. Let's do it like this. Is there a way to have me? No. All right. So okay, so we had a what do you call it? A sheet thing, a form where people could post questions. So I'm going to answer the questions from those from that post, and then I'm going to answer any questions that are here. I'm going to put a QA starts here in the chat. So anybody that posts something under this line, I'm gonna check it out and I will answer any questions. Depending on the amount of questions, we might go a little longer. So yeah, let me check out the questions that people asked in the form. So question number one. Okay, random lore questions. What are exactly hobgoblins in Age of Fantasy? A subspecies of goblins or something else? Um, they are more like cousins of the goblins, so don't expect them to look exactly the same, but you can expect them to be, about the height of a goblin. Um, they have a very different looking face. Like the idea for us is that they they're kind of related but different. So, for example, they might not have a tail, but you can kind of see some similarities, maybe like their ears and stuff like that. So, hobgoblin is its own species that is kind of related to goblins, but not exactly. Then, are the rebel guerrillas alien species from the galactic center or humans somehow? So, rebel guerrillas, actually, the idea is that they're made up of whatever. And yes, you have some of them that come from the inner sphere, but then, of course, you collect, rebels from the outer sphere, and they've kind of come to Sirius to wreak havoc. I'm going to be honest. I think that in the long run, we probably want to rework the rebel guerrillas, not just in terms of like what sort of units the army has, but also just the general lore. I think that right now, they're a bit meh. They're okay. They're kind of there. But I have this idea of we had some concept art that one of our artists made a few years back, and it looked really really cool. And we were kind of like thinking about how could this fit in the game in our universe, and I don't know, I didn't really feel like it warranted a new army, and maybe just maybe we might be able to fit sort of like the rebel guerrillas there and like sort of combine the two things. Maybe the army name would slightly change, maybe some of the unit names would change, some new units would come in, but the general gist of the army would kind of stay the same. um, to be seen. Lastly, are the Custodian Brothers just Battle Brothers loyal to the Church instead of the Protectorates or something else? The Custodian Brothers, I mean, you can actually check out their lore, but they are not loyal to the Church, but they are loyal to the protectorates, so they're loyal to the founder and well, the I'm blanking, the the successionist, the conduit. And so yeah, they're very close to the conduit, and they maintain the secrets of the conduit process. Um, Again, lots of lore, thoughts, lots of things we would like to do, lots of things that we might want to adapt and change. We have some ideas about how we might tweak the lore of the Battle Brothers and Custodian Brothers in the future. One of the ideas that I had and that I've already spoken about before is the thought of, well, maybe the Custodian Brothers shouldn't be part of the protectorates, but instead they should be part of the Blessed Sisters. Well, they should be a secondary. They should be an organization that essentially protects the the remnants, let's say, of the God Queen, and yeah, kind of be more tied to the Blessed Sisters, because I think it will allow us to make, like, there's already so many things in the Battle Brothers. They have so many detachments. There's so many like brothers things, that I think it would be very cool to have um, a difference. Let's say. All right. Next question. What are the next faction books? We actually do have a plan for some of the upcoming faction books. We don't want to announce anything yet. Usually, I would give you a teaser here, but I will not give you a teaser because I will give you a teaser at the end of this month. Because at the end of the month, we are going to do the yearly recap and yearly roadmap. So basically, the last stream of each year, I will take a look at basically like, hey, what happened this year? And oh my God, again, lots of things happened this year. And then we're also going to take a look at the roadmap for the next year. And then I will talk more about the next faction books. Um, are there any plans for a My Mini Factory campaign focused around Age of Fantasy Quest or Grim the Future Star Quest? So no, not right now. We're already releasing lots of content for Quest and Star Quest with the monthly, chapters for the campaigns. One thing that we are thinking of doing is maybe leveraging the release of the faction books to release Quest and Star Quest campaigns to sort of catch up with old armies that already had their models released. And then we were also thinking about another way of catching up for some of those armies would be to have additional Quest or Star Quest campaign books released on top of what's released every month, where it's like, hey, look, like we found a bit of time, we found a good spot, a little niche where we could include like, okay, now a mummified undead fantasy quest, and then we might release that on Patreon, or maybe wait for the faction book and then release it alongside the faction book. All right, so these were all the questions. I saw that there was one additional question. Somebody asking about that they were finding some models they couldn't find their models on. I guess maybe it's part of they had some issues with their Patreon subscription or their My Mini Factory. Anyway, if you have an issue with specifically My Mini Factory or Patreon, please contact us directly through there. It makes it so much easier for us to provide you with help. And this really is not the place to get that help. All right, so that's it for all the questions that were asked in the form. So now I'm going to go and check out the questions that were asked in the chat. Where was the line? Okay, Q&A starts here. Quick question: can we put an artillery T3 in a transport? Yeah, I don't see any issue with it. So it's a tough 3 unit, so you can totally put it in there. The only problem you're gonna have is that artillery is immobile, so you cannot use, if you start the game with a piece of artillery inside a uh, transport, you cannot exit because you can only use hold actions, and you cannot enter if it's not placed inside. You cannot enter because it only has to use hold actions. The only way that you would be able to do this is if you're using a hero that has the reposition artillery special rule, and I assume that would allow you to move the piece of artillery. But no, again, like you need to use an action. You need to use a move action to get into the artillery. No, I don't think there's actually a way for you to put artillery into the transport, just because of the immobile rule. Will there be lore short stories for the dwarves? Yes, we do plan to release short stories for all the factions over time. Usually, the way that we do it is we wait for the minis to be released, and then sometime later, maybe like we release dwarves in 2025. So I would expect at least one or two short stories for the dwarves in 2026. Any teaser of what's coming after the demons? Again, since I'm going to be doing the big roadmap at the end of this month, I don't want to be giving any teasers today. What about World Books 2.0? So that's a plan. I'm gonna be honest, it's a bit tough to slot them in. We are definitely thinking about doing World Books 2.0. It's a thing that I've been thinking about for a long time. There's lots of things that are tied to that we want to do. The problem now is slotting it in. Like, when is the right moment to release it? Um, yes, for example, taking into consideration that people bought Broken Truth. You get a cool world book with can get like a physical world book with Broken Truth. We don't want to have you receive the Broken Truth physical book, and then it's like, hey, like a month later, here's a new version of the world books, and then it's immediately invalidated. So we're trying to find out where the best spot is to release World Books 2.0, but it's definitely um, somewhere in our plans. Um, okay, can you please provide an update on the efforts to produce Star Quest Advanced books? So, as I've already mentioned many times, we do not have any specific plans for advanced rule books for Quest or Star Quest. I think it's an idea. I think it's a possibility. It's definitely not a priority. It was never really intended to be a game that has an advanced book. And so, yeah, we might do it in the future, but no promises. Will they have a full do it on paper hero building rules section? Again, not something that would be tied to the advanced rules, but something that we've been thinking about and something that we would do essentially. We would deliver maybe via the Army Forge. So the same way that you can go on Army Forge right now and download the PDFs for your army, you would be able to go on Army Forge and download the hero creator for each specific army. But that comes with lots of caveats that need to be, figured out. So no idea of when it would happen. Are you happy with OPR balance and flavor at the moment? Oof, tough questions. I am happy, but there's always the feeling that it could always be better. I think the games could be more balanced. They could be more interesting. I think there's still a bunch of different issues that I want to tackle over the next couple of years. So, for example, I've already spoken about how v3.6 is meant to be the big weapons update. So one of the things that I notice right now is that weapons right now are kind of built like I just feel like giving this weapon this rule and whatever, and that's it. Whereas I would like to have a sort of a more internal balance between the weapons so that they feel more like different options and choices rather than like, okay, this is just a better version of that, that's a better version of that, that's a better version of that. So I wanted to feel more of a choice. Another thing is I would like to some extent reduce AP overall. I think there's too many armies that have very easy access to AP1, where like basically, okay, I've spoken about this before, but when v3.5 was originally envisioned, there were three parts to it. There was the part that you saw, which is the update to army wide rules, and the auras and the spells and that stuff. The second part was the weapons update that was supposed to come with it, and the third part was the unit types update that has been pushed to 2027. But basically, the weapons update. So with army wide rules, we've added a bunch of things that make the game more deadly, right? So like now, if you are playing, I don't know, goblins, you have the mischievous rule, which basically makes enemies re-roll sixes. So that means that everything got a bit more deadly, but that was supposed to be paired up with a weapons update that's slightly toned down lethality across the board so that it all sort of balances out. And so that's part of the balance tweaks that I want to do for v3.6. There's other things that I would like to do. I think there's still work that can be done to further reduce the amount of tokens in the game. I think there's still work that can be done to tweak how customizable units are. Um, yeah, there's always stuff that can be done. In terms of lore, I think there is a long-term plan for the lore, and it just takes time. And I think once things keep, as things keep coming out, everything will make more and more and more sense. And then you will get what the big plan is, and we'll be in a new era of OPR, flavor. So I'm pretty satisfied with what we have right now, but again, lots of things to be added, changed, worked on, reworked. Um, so yes, I hope I answered your question. How is the custom rules and spell creator and Army Forge going? Pretty well. It's implemented. I use it every day, so it's going well. Um, Uh, Wait. The Rift Demon books are identical between Grimdark Future and Age of Fantasy, except for the one narrative hero. Is that intentional? Yes. So the narrative heroes and the villains and stuff like that are tied to a specific universe. So they're only available in their respective universe. So, for example, in Grimdark Future, we have Swiftclaw, which is a Change Demon hero, and and actually we have another one, which is Poison Zeal in Plague Demons. But for example, now we have Moonmire, which is a Lust Demon hero that is in the fantasy side. And then with the new villains that are coming out for the demons, you're gonna have two additional for quest. Two additional for sci-fi, two additional for fantasy. So yeah, we're slowly getting more and more narrative heroes for the demons. And yes, they are intended to be separate between fantasy and sci-fi because they are different universes. You mentioned new name demon heroes. Does that mean one for each type of demon and setting? Not for each demon and setting, but well, sorry, one for each demon, yes, not for each setting. So two will be for sci-fi, two will be for fantasy. Will other factions get heroic models of their heroes? Maybe in the future. That's not really something we are um, super planning right now. I think it made sense to do it here with this demon onslaught thing, but I don't think it would make sense to just randomly release like a heroic, um, you know, uh, mummified undead hero. That being said, maybe if at some point we do like, I'm trying to think, like, imagine we said, oh, we're adding 3 new units to Mummified Undead, and we say, okay, we're gonna do like we're gonna release them as part of a diorama that is a legendary. Maybe as part of that, we could say, well, let's throw in a heroic hero. Um, Maybe, but yeah, no promises here. Um, are you doing something related to Cathay slash Xir Kali? I have no idea what's Xir Kali. What is this? Xir Kali. Oh, it's like a mantic thing. So we definitely have spoken about how we do have ideas for a possible um, fantasy Asian inspired army. Uh, but yeah, nothing really to reveal yet. Um, when will the new token sheet be released? Unsure. I actually had a call about it just today with a team to realign, and I'm waiting for an update. Any plans for a new faction to be added to Grimdark Future? Well, yes, in the long run for sure. I have plans for a couple of armies that I would like to release, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I think making OPR um, armies is always very fun and cool, and it allows us to be much more free with what we make. But again, nothing to announce at this point. Do you have any thoughts on Havoc Brothers? They are Havoc versions of the Battle Brothers. Um, no, I mean I think they're cool. It's cool that they have all the different versions of their they have the change bound, they have havoc bound, and so on and so forth. I think, yeah, they're kind of like different Battle Brothers. So they are, in some ways, they're, I feel like it's kind of better for them that they don't have fearless across the army, because it means that they don't have to worry about spending those points. Which honestly kind of makes me wish that we could just remove fearless from Battle Brothers as a whole. But yeah, I mean, they're a cool army. I don't know. I don't I don't know what else to tell you. Has there been any progress on the epic scale miniature, or are they indefinitely canceled? They have been indefinitely be put on hold. Uh, More than a year ago by now, and yeah, we currently have no plans of going back to them. I think that right now, it makes sense for us to focus on what we're currently doing, as well as some of the upcoming projects. Also like just trying to give you like some insight into like thinking about things as a company. um Everything that we do as we keep growing becomes in some ways a bigger investment, not necessarily in terms of money, but like in terms of, it's more complexity that we're adding to our processes and to our work. It's more people that get involved, which means more, more points of failure. But also, like, just in terms of the audience, it's one more system, more models. Where do you get them? The My Mini Factory store gets more full. If they're released on Patreon, how does that work? More questions, more things here and there. And ultimately, also, it is a matter, to some extent, of course, of money. It's like, how successful can it be compared to the, the noise that it adds, the chaos that it adds, the money that it costs to make. And let's be honest, right now we are in an economic situation where, things are very uncertain. A lot of people are, holding onto their purses, rightfully so. Um, Kind of looking forward to a better future, but waiting out to kind of see what happens. And with that in mind, it is hard to justify putting a large investment back in those projects, if there might even be an audience that wants it, but is currently unable to actually fully invest and have fun, which would be bad for us and for them. I have to say, we do have four armies that we built over the years that are like 90% completed, and they're currently kind of sitting on a shelf. We have been wondering if it would make sense for us to um, release those as a sort of like limited offer. Like, hey, look, we made these, here they are. This is not a promise that we're going to make more. And in some ways, sounds like, yeah, cool, people can get some 10 millimeter minis from OPR. But at the same time, it's also kind of a weird thing to be like, hey, here's a couple of 10 millimeter armies. Do you want more? Well, we're not making them. What are we telling the audience by doing that? Um, so yeah, right now, indefinitely put on hold. Um, I'm missing some kind of a mobile forge or workshop for the dwarves. Any plans to include this? No. We do have um, a Doom cart, which is kind of our mobile, um, which is kind of like our forge slash workshop. Yeah, kind of thing. It's like our magic thing. The way that the magic works for the dwarves is not really based on forges or workshops. So the Doom cart is essentially um, what you get. Does that make sense? Um, Question: Will there be non-HQ infantry units for vampires in AOF? No plans for that right now. Although I do think it could be cool, maybe in the long term, having some sort of like foot knights, vampire foot knights. But there are no plans for that right now. It it might feel a little. I don't know. I feel like vampires should be special in the army. I think having some vampire knights is cool. It still feels special enough. It's a kind of expensive unit. It comes in units of 5. You can make it to 10. That's fine. but it feels like still noble enough. Um, Whereas if we did a unit of vampires on foot, I feel like it kind of encroaches on the space of the skeleton guard, and maybe it makes him feel a little less noble. And that's not really the point. Are you guys going to Adepticon this year? And we have Box of Broken Truth for sale there. So we are definitely going to be at a bunch of conventions next year, including Adopticon. We'll of course be announcing more in the roadmap at the end of this month. In terms of Broken Truth boxes, I don't think that they'll be ready yet for Adepticon. I will check, of course, but Adepticon being in just 3 months, it seems like a little short. And I also am not sure how I feel about selling the boxes to people at Adepticon when the original backers haven't received them yet. So you know. Shred and Rupture both specify it's the weapon causing additional wounds. Presumably, this means those wounds are multiplied by Deadly X. Is this intended to be the same for Violent plus Aliases? I don't have this off the top of my head, so I don't want to give an answer now that then people quote and whatnot, and I don't want to like now open a bunch of tabs and try to solve this for you. Please ask this question in the Discord, and I'm sure you'll get an answer that is satisfactory. Are you planning army-specific ships for war fleets? Again, kind of the same answer as for small scale. We would love to do war fleet ships. We have been thinking about and planning on doing war fleet ships for a long time, but I don't know that in the current climate it's the best thing to focus our energy on making ships for war fleets when it's already a niche within a niche, and yeah, it's a lot of effort to make those things. We don't know if it makes sense financially, and also in terms of like again clutter and noise and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Um, okay. Other questions. What is the status of OPR Labs? In the works right now, we were focusing on a bunch of things for v3.5.1. I hope that it still comes out by Christmas. If not, early next year, you will be able to have access to labs. Uh, approximately how long after the Radiance event is the present in the world of Grimdark Future? I think we never define a specific date, but we are around 150 years after the Radiance Cascade. Are you expecting to introduce new world altering events and move the timeline forwards, or is this the snapshots? So this is the current snapshot. We do expect to, have we do have very long term plans for the lore and where we're going with it, and cool new things. But this is the current snapshot, and you can expect it to remain like this for probably many years to come. How long until we finally get lore for the Battle Brothers? I mean, there is already plenty of lores for the Battle Brothers. Really, you can only expect more lore once the faction book comes out. You can only expect the faction books once minis are made. And right now there are no minis, and we are not planning them anytime soon. So, yeah, that's your answer. Can you please revisit morale in Titan Lords? We have no intention to revisit morale in Titan Lords right now. Any plans to revisit Brothers models ever? Yes, ever for sure. When? Not sure when. When it comes to other systems, seeing as we already had something similar to Infinity style gameplay modules, are there any plans to bring this kind of system back? So you're talking about double tap, which is a sort of like action reaction sort of system. Again, just like with the ship models and all that stuff, it's kind of unclear what we should do, because it's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to invest a bunch of resources into making a new game that then requires app support, that then requires RE4 Studio support, because you know that people are going to expect to be able to do that? That requires a lot of development and lots of expectations on players, and then we have no models for it. So how do we make it? Like, there are so many things involved with like all these additional games that, yeah, we would love to do, but I don't think we are currently in the position to just do them. Like, we're already doing so many things. I think people forget. Adding that stuff on top is a lot. All right, and I see this is the final question. Can you give us a sense of the size of the OPR team and roughly who does what behind the scene? In terms of size of the OPR team, so the core team of like permanent members is between 15 and 20 people. And then we additionally, with freelancers, are anywhere between 35 and 50 people, depending on the time. Like if we're doing like a huge project and we need a lot of artists at the same time, we might be, balloon up a little bit, then we go down and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, of course, we work with a lot of artists on freelance basis, so that's that's normal for them. They get hired for a job here and there, and then they go back to freelancing for others. In terms of who does what behind the scenes, um, I mean, I could tell you the names in terms of answering the who, but in terms of what, I mean, I can give you the general sense. We have a lot of people doing different things. We have people on the more financial side of things, so taking care of, reporting, taking care of um, invoicing, taking care of legal stuff, taking care of NDAs, taking care of contracts, taking care of all that sort of stuff. We have, of course, a sculpting team with a bunch of sculptors, where we have a lead sculptor. We have a primary sculptor, which basically, or a primary artist, is that what you call it? Whatever. We have a lead sculptor that basically sort of sets the style. Then we have lots of sculptors that make the models. Then we have some sculptors that are specific to specific type of things, like people that do terrain, people that do bases, people that do that sort of stuff. Then we of course have a head of sculpting who supervises everything. Provides people with briefs and stuff like that. And then pretty much every team kind of works like that. So you sort of have some lead artists that kind of set the style. You have lots of other artists that make stuff based off that style. And then you have a head of the department that essentially provides briefs, assigns work, reviews work, makes sure that the files are prepared properly. We have people on fulfillment. So there's people that have to take care of, what is coming out when, making sure every team has what they need, getting the models to the support team to get the supports, getting the models to the rendering team to get the renders, combine everything, set up the rendering, do the final delivery on all the different platforms. That's a huge job right there. We have graphic designers who take care of the graphic design for everything. We have marketing people that do the ads, that do the posts, that do the website news posts, that do the Patreon news posts, that put stuff on Instagram. We have game designers. Of course, there's me, but also we have an in-house game designer now that does missions and mission packs and narrative campaigns and stuff like that. We have writers, we have concept artists, we have viz dev artists, we have illustrators, we have programmers, we have web developers, uh, lots of people all over the place doing 1,000 things. So it's quite a large team by now. Like, considering that back in the day it was just me doing everything. Yeah, we've grown a lot. Um, are there any way to get more detailed patch notes for the OPR versions? No, I don't. I feel like, so the patch notes, I feel like there's two types of audiences for the patch notes. There is your regular player who is just like, hey, I just want to know kind of what changed. Like, okay, my army, got this and that, and like, here's a new unit, and here this unit has a different upgrade now, and okay, the cost of something were tweaked. And then there's people that are like, they want to go really deep and be like, okay, but like, how were the points tweaked? Like, what is more expensive, what is cheaper, and what not? And for those players, they can go check out the point calc in Army Forge Studio, and then they can actually see how the points have changed. So yeah, we don't want to overcomplicate the patch notes when the majority of the audience is just casual players that are just like, hey, I'm here for fun. I don't need to know has something gone up by 0.5, and well, what does that mean on a unit wide scale, and what is the scaling of the multiplier. Like, it gets too complex. So if you want to know that stuff, yeah, check out Army Forge Studio. All right, with this, we have answered all the questions, and we are under the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, which is pretty good. Again, I'm trying to make these a bit shorter now, but yeah. There is going to be a live stream at the end of the month. I expect it to be. Oof. The end of the month is a little rough. I'm gonna say maybe in 4 weeks. So Tuesday the 30th. So one day before New Year's, and then I will be doing the roadmap and you know yearly review stream. You can expect that stream to be longer as usual. Those usually go 2 hours ish or longer. I don't remember. And yeah, please check out v3.5.1. Um, Make sure to update your armies. Yeah, happy holidays to everyone. Have fun and